Welcome back, everyone, to another Company Fears 2 replay cast. And this time, we are going to have a 3v3 on Rejev Winter, sent in by, I believe, Fives. You know, I haven't received a replay from him in a long time, but the person in the email did not say who they are. I'm guessing it's Fives. He's playing as the USF, as you can see, on the west side. His friends are going to be Get the Gist, playing as the Brits, and Fosslozen, trademark, who's also the Americans. So it's 2 Americans and 1 Brit versus Camille Yaltoshuk, OKW, Hakuna 7, playing as the OKW, and King Manny, playing as the Wehrmacht. So yeah, everyone loves the good old Western Front matchup. However, it is Rejev Winter, so yeah, I think that the British player is gonna have to do some Simcity. So anyway, yeah, I'm sure you've seen this map a million times before. Looks like Akuna's gonna try to come into the center with a couple of Sturm Pioneers, and that's probably a bad decision because, you know, 2 Sturm Pioneers on the open ground, maybe not gonna be the best. The rifleman can just kind of run away and kite to medium to long range, and then start turning and opening up on the guys, and that's exactly what they're doing, drawing in the Sturmpiles into the MG, and that's not going to be good at all for the German infantry. As soon as they realize that there's the MG, they run the heck out. Looks like King Manny is the
MG-42 team is ready for action.
Thanks. Looks like King Manny is kind of like the guy that really likes to play defensive and turtle, and he is going to build a fuel cache and a couple of MGs. So trying to go for the long play, sacrificing a bit of that early game capping power for the late game resources, and obviously, you know, that fuel cache is going to come in handy in the mid to late game. However, in the early game, he's going to really feel the lack of infantry as his MG gets flanked by the rifleman. Actually getting flanked by 3 players all at once is obviously not going to be that easy. The other MG-42 is kind of scrambling to get to a good position, although I really don't see what it can do to stop this flood of infantry coming into the center. On the right side, the unopposed OKW player Camille is trying to sort of grab some of these points and then get himself pushing west. Essentially, he's trying to take as many points as possible. However, looks like the big swarm of American infantry and British infantry is going to be coming east to try to cut them off and reclaim the right side for freedom and democracy. And right now, it is definitely succeeding as the Germans really don't have the forces out here to really oppose this big, giant blob. And yeah, I think that this infantry army is going to just cap as many points as possible and then get the hell out of there. In the meantime, the OKW is going to be forced to most likely retreat, although he does manage to do some damage to the first rifleman squad. The other ones, though, coming in, that's just too much numerical superiority on the side of the Allies. Maybe even this Sturm Pioneer might get wiped out. So close, but no, he will not be wiped out. That's incredibly lucky. Still, this counter push on the right side for the Allies is coming at a cost, and that cost is losing the left-hand side to the swarm of Sturm Pioneers, who have equipped some Panzer Shreks. Oh no, okay. See, I thought that was a built fighting position upgrading the MG, but no, it's not. It's just an unbuilt fighting position, and that's the wiping out of those troops on the left for Fives. He is going to be hurting for manpower after that because, you know, 200 manpower rear echelon troops, and I think 150 is the fighting position? Don't quote me on this. I haven't played in way too long to know that. I haven't used the fighting position in months, so yeah, don't remember. But it is something like that, so yeah, it's a bit of a manpower loss, and looks like he's jumped his medics out of the ambulance, which is a really strange idea, although, like, I'm pretty sure they heal. Yeah, okay, so they heal automatically, but they heal most likely slower than when they're in the ambulance and they activate the ability, right? I don't know. That's kind of weird. bit of a counterattack on the left for 5s. He's trying to reclaim his position over here. He has gotten the lieutenant and free riflemen, although 2 of his riflemen are still kind of back at base trying to replenish. And oh no, actually one of them is on the right side, getting kind of pushed back by Camille's infantry. Oh no, is he gonna? Okay, no, good. So that's one of the players. The second player, the British guy, is coming in right now to flank those Stern Pioneers. Oh god, this is not going to be good for Hakuna. He does do a lot of damage to the red cover Americans, but he also takes a nasty beating from the firing line of infantry sections, and one of those Stern Pioneers is wiped out. Excellent job. From Get the Gist, flanking around, he's got a lot of manpower, mobile assault regiment, so most likely wanting to get some infiltration commandos. It's not the best map ever for infiltration commandos, but he obviously is trying to shoot for the land mattress because, you know, on a map like this where stalemates, as you can see, start to build up relatively quickly around the center, the land mattress can actually be quite useful. He's getting his infantry upgraded with some medicals, medical equipment. Bolster infantry squads is complete, so he can increase his squad sizes. He's doesn't have weapon racks, doesn't have grenades, but he's got platoon command post with no upgrades. Actually, it's kind of weird because it seems like the Allies have been really hurting for fuel. Yeah, they're only now reclaiming the left side and the right side, but practically almost never held it. So yeah, looks like the fuel income situation for the Allies is relatively bad, and so you get the gist is quite behind on the tech. He's not really able to get anything out at 7 minutes. Now, the other American player, Foss Lozen, he's also floating a lot of manpower. He's got a mortar, went for neither lieutenant nor captain. He's now getting the lieutenant, which is probably a pretty bad idea because he's gone for heavy cavalry company. So that means that he can get some rangers. And honestly, probably the captain would be a lot better for some anti-tank guns with the amount of manpower he has, you know? Rangers and anti-tank guns would be very, very helpful at dealing with most threats. Mills bombs upgraded for the Brits, but before they can use them, they get forced back by the flame grenades. The Germans, we have that Camille is going for the classic, you know, Volksgrenadier horde, but then he went for the Lukes, so obviously mechanized regiment headquarters, and there's not that many units that can counter the Lukes on the field. There's a couple of anti-tank grenade equipped riflemen, but other than that, it is pretty damn sparse on the AT. Looks like these guys are gonna have to get, you know, have to retreat because of the flak emplacement, and that's what Hakuna has been doing. He's gone for the fortifications and trying to make use of his Stern Pioneers, but he's losing his Stern Pioneers so hard. He really needs to be a lot more careful with how he uses his infantry. He is lucky that that flak emplacement exists, otherwise they could have just chased these guys into the negative cover and destroyed them. While King Manny is just trying to turtle up as much as possible. He's got the bunker, he's got the MGs in the buildings, he's got the mortar, he's got the sandbags even. A few grenadiers without that many upgrades, although now he is getting a few upgraded, so that's good for him. And looks like both sides are just kind of trying to build up their defenses around the center. The Lukes is going to try to break that, but he's moving in straight for the sort of central area. I am honestly surprised to see no AT guns from either the Brits or the Americans. The Brits can go for the 6-pounder. And, yeah, none of the Americans going for the captain is really, really weird. Especially on a map like, obviously, Reserve Winter, where long games, big lines of sight, so AT guns, pretty much a necessity. Absolutely a must. So Lukes takes out the mortar, and looks like, wow. The fuel cache mania of King Manny is going to go a little bit too far as he tries to build a fuel cache under fire from an MG, and that's obviously not going to work. He probably should have built it just like over here. Still though, the resource situation is favoring the Germans quite a bit. They do have more income than the Allies, thanks to partially the fuel cache effort and partially thanks to their map control being better. And I feel like that map control being better, it has a lot to do with how they're using their infantry. Being very aggressive with their grenade usage. And also they've been supporting the infantry with a few more units than the Allies have. The Allies have just a couple of blobs running around, essentially. So, you know, 5s blob, get the gist, blob, and Fossilos and blob, but the Germans, they have the Lukes, and they have the MGs, and Hakuna, I guess, has his flags. So yeah, it's a little bit more support. Nice usage of the Piats, though, from Get the Gist. He's trying to destroy the Lukes. Lukes is lucky to escape, although is he escaping? No, he's not. Why is he doing this? This is not the best idea ever, and he's going to be destroyed relatively easily by those Piats once he stops. Excellent job from Get the Gist, upgrading the weapon racks and getting some Piats at the correct time. However, well, yeah, now he can also use these to break the fuel caches, maybe even the flag. Like, I don't know. I don't know how the Piats work in suppression mode, like under suppression, but maybe they work. Looks like he's also got some Vickers, one squad equipped with 2 Vickers. Sorry, Brens. He's not, of course, the special weapon, so that's not the Vickers K. But yeah, like, I don't know, he's still floating 1,500 manpower. So I feel like the Allies have a lot of potential that they're not really using, you know, both in terms of their tech and in terms of their resources, while the Germans are trying to pull out all the stops, and yeah, that's working out for them. Looks like another truck will be coming in for Camille. That's obviously going to be transformed into a Schwer Panzer headquarters. Another Schwer Panzer headquarters has been built by Hakuna, so both of the OKW guys are going for the late game. And ooh, look at that glorious flag emplacement. Man, new flag emplacement is relatively decent, but still vulnerable. As you can see, he's getting Piated and absolutely smashed. Okay, so the Piats are pretty damn good. We have confirmed that they're pretty damn good against the flag emplacements. Over here, the flag emplacement is going to be built, protected, sorry, by the bigger flag emplacement, the Schwer. So yeah, that's not a big issue for the Germans. On the right side, we have a big push from the Allies. They've been able to cap the VP, and they're going for the fuel point. But I don't see them surviving the counterattack coming in, and oh, they're keeping their infantry bunched up once again against those flame grenades. It's not really working. They have to run away. And yeah, I think that the Volksgrenadiers, if they can get in close with those STG-44s, they're gonna take out those riflemen. Grenades being exchanged, but one of them is more successful than the other.
Grenadiers ready.
Anyway, so we have this. What the hell? Why? Why? Oh, I don't even know. Anyway, looks like the blockhouse of the Americans on the left-hand side is going to work out, but the Germans are streaming for the center. They're going to be pushed back this time by the big counterattack. A nice grenade is going to wipe out one of the Grenadier squads, but I don't think that the Allies can really push through forward. The flak emplacements are creeping up ever closer, which is a very weird decision, because we seem to have... Really? You lost your Folks Grenadiers over here. That's not the greatest idea. So, like, we've seen how these isolated flak emplacements are vulnerable, especially to the Piats, but I don't know. It seems like the Germans are being very, very aggressive with them still. Panzer Fusiliers on the field. That obviously means Breakthrough has been selected for Camille, and he's trying to get infantry superiority. Yeah, he's already got one squad out and moving in. The Allied caches have been built for munitions and one for fuel, but now one of them at least is going to fall because of the Panzerschreck. So pretty good raid by the Germans, trying to get in on the American and British resources. Obviously a pretty good strategy in the long term. And there goes the cache. Very, very good. Foslosen could get himself some Rangers. For some reason, he's not. He has gone for the Captain tier and now has a pack howitzer and a AT gun. So he's gone for both of the tiers. What about Fives? Fives has gone for both of the tiers, and obviously he's got the Major already. But he's gone for infantry company, so not as much late game options as the Pershing. He's gonna try to be coming in with the rifleman and get the flank off on the MG. Working out relatively well. Gonna get him. Shut up! Okay. Stern Pioneers did not want to shut up. Anyway, it looks like the MG is going to survive thanks to the support of the flak emplacement. And the river line is going to hold for the Germans once more. It's not holding, however, for the Allies as their sort of defenses are being breached on a relatively regular basis. Thankfully here we have the British man trying to get himself Piats. He should probably target fire the bunker, but he's missing. And looks like he's going to be pushed back. Heavy machine gun crew killed. That was most likely here. Oh, no. That wasn't here. That was here. He's pushed up a little bit too far, and the flak emplacement destroyed it. But, yeah, these flak emplacements are not long for this world because of the pack howitzer. So, yeah, the German Simcity is kind of creeping up. Well, there we go. Another flak emplacement dead. The German Simcity is creeping up ever closer. It is receiving setbacks. The Allies are trying to fight back the fire with the artillery, but it's not being as quick as perhaps they hoped.
There's a major reporting for action.
Now, what can they do against this? Well, definitely spam a couple of mortars would be a very, very good way to at least slow down the growth of the tumors and then push back, you know, because the mortars also have that smoke screen that they can use. So, you know, after you've taken down a couple of the flak emplacements when they can't really interlock their fire anymore with one another, you can really smoke the rest of the bunkers or flak emplacements. And also trying to get some kind of reconnaissance superiority would be a great thing. Obviously, a pack howitzer, sorry, not a pack howitzer, howitzer mortar carriage, M8 is a great idea, so Foslosen goes for that, and I definitely agree. Yeah, it's kind of sad that they didn't go for any real airborne, because, you know, the recon run would have been pretty decent. Like, obviously the recon planes would have been shot down by the flak emplacements, but it would have provided some information. However, like, it's not that important. Like, they just need to know where these guys are. Still, I would suggest for the British sniper, or, well, I mean, he does have the infiltration commandos, but the infiltration commandos, they're not as good as a sniper would be. Especially as it seems like they're gonna get wiped out. They don't get wiped out, they're lucky. Oh, that's... okay, he had the Vickers. He had a Vickers. Still though, those Germans are really coming back in, trying to actually even salvage their own vehicle wreck in the middle of enemy lines. That's not going? Oh no, he did. Okay, he did manage to do that. That's lucky. Panzer IV is on the field for Camille, so obviously the Germans making that resource superiority count. I really need to lower the volume of these voices because they're extremely annoying. Right, thanks. So yeah, right now, the Allies just need to figure out how to deal with bunkers, aka get mortars and use AT guns. They're starting to get a lot of artillery pieces, so obviously Land Mattress is on the field for Get the Gist, and he's gonna get, I think, at least a couple, if not more. We have the Howitzer mortar carrier. He decided to go for a Sherman. Can't exactly disagree because Shermans are good. And he still needs to deal with the roving bands of infantry as well, so the Sherman is going to be pretty good for that. However, he's going to need to pay attention to that Panzer IV, obviously, and to the Raketenwerfers that I saw scattered about, although I only see one. Rockets firing, that's the Land Mattress. Land Mattress kind of firing on the central area, trying to catch some of these buildings. Looks like this flak emplacement is gonna die, but and this one died. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. Still, though, the Germans are transitioning, at least some of the Germans, not Hakuna 7. Hakuna 7's still going strong with Simcity, but at least some of the Germans are transitioning into tanks, although, why is the Panther moving in alone? That's definitely an easy way to get your Panther destroyed. And yeah, most likely this Panther is not going to survive for very long. What is he doing? What the hell is he doing? Oh, wait, what? Okay, looks like the Panzer IV is also trying to pincer move the Allies in, but like over here, he cannot really do anything because there's nothing for him to fight except for a random MG. So he can just kind of stay there, and he's not going to really cause any damage, and the Allies can ignore him. The Panther takes a massive beating and then has to run away. And Sherman decides to fight the Panzer IV, which works out for him. And he kind of trades evenly. It's kind of lucky for him. And of course, both sides of infantry decides to fight on the negative cover because that's exactly what you want to do. Here comes the grenade. Oh, that's gonna be devastating. Oh yes, that was a good grenade. Although he's just lost a unit. I wonder which unit. I don't know. So yeah, if the Allies want to come back into this game, they really need to turn up the artillery and then make sure that the tanks cannot catch them by surprise or anything like that. Big mortar. Very nice Land Mattress. Germans are being kind of derpy though, to be honest. Like, the Land Mattress is such a retarded unit in some ways. Like, as soon as it fires, you know where it's firing, and you know where it's going to fire for a while. So you can probably just kind of get your units out. It looks like the Germans are not doing that, and the result is obviously that the Land Mattress has two barrages, is already almost vet 2 with 19 kills. Oh god. What is this Churchill doing? One rifleman goes down, trying to get some anti-tank grenades off, but for some reason the Churchill's trying to fight the Panther one-on-one, and for some reason these German tanks are staying here without infantry support. And we do have some infantry coming in, and the other squads are trickling back into the fight, but yeah, they need to run away. They need to run away before these riflemen can get in close. And the Churchill is eating damage from this Panther. The Panther is taking fire from the Piats, so it's just a whole overall mess of units sticking around in fights with units that they cannot hurt. And that's obviously not the best idea ever. Although the Germans are operating a relatively decent kite maneuver, trying to, you know, move back and deal damage to the Allied infantry. So yeah, that's gonna work relatively well. More flak emplacements being built by Hakuna, because why the hell not? And also he's building a Pak 43. Because that's exactly what you need, you know? When the enemy has a land mattress, like 2 mortars at least, a priest, and a pack howitzer. Yeah, that is the best idea ever. Best idea ever. Get a pack for free. Anyway, the priest is on the field, and that's obviously a great choice considering what the Germans are doing right now. And, oh my god, King Manny also goes for a bunker. Oh god. King Manny actually went for, what is this? German infantry doctrine. So obviously he has fragmentation bombing, which is quite good. Oh, rip B4. Fragmentation bombing, which is quite good, and relief infantry, which would be amazing. If he could spam some of that, he could have a kind of recruiting squad along with his pioneers that can repair, so he can sort of maintain his defenses in the back line and get a couple of support weapons up and running. Of course, he's not going to do any of that and just kind of build bunkers. Another pack 43. I need to speed this up. This is going to be so long. So yeah, my prediction is the German guy on the right side, without his Panzer IV, will now have a severe hard time in dealing with the American infantry that's going to surge. American and British infantry that's going to surge ever more numerous to the right side. And in the center, the Germans are going to have more and more trouble rebuilding their emplacements before they, rather after they get destroyed by American artillery, before the Allies can move in troops to capture the points. So their defenses are going to be getting thinner and thinner, and without any reprieve. The Germans have essentially just kind of handed to the Allies the initiative, and that's something that you should never do. Like, the Germans had the Allies on the ropes. They were moving into the base. They had resource advantage, which they still do, by the way. But yeah, they had resource advantage, and they were pushing the Allies back to the base. So what they could have done is they could have tried to shoot for the late game units as quickly as possible, getting out a couple of Panthers and a lot of Panzer IVs, maybe some late game infantry such as Obersoldaten, and really driving home that advantage. But they did not do that. So I'm guessing at this point it's just going to be a slow grind for the Allies to get back in. You know, destroying some Panthers who do not have any infantry support. We do have the Pershing on the field for Vosklosen, so obviously now the Germans are going to have to contend with an allied late-game armor unit. But yeah, I don't see the Germans really having that initiative anymore. So unless the Allies make mistakes, the Germans are going to be in more and more trouble, such as leaving the Pershing in the Ziering artillery, by the way. That's a relatively bad mistake. You really need to get the hell out of Ziering artillery before the final few shells hit. Anyway, that does not really, like, the Pershing dying does not really change the fact that they can just get another one eventually. And in the meantime, shell the Axis defenses to oblivion. Like, Hakuna 7 as a player is his defenses. Like, he doesn't have anything else. So if the Allies can shell these out of existence, that's one German player gone. Then if they can take out the bunkers from King Manny, that's also another essentially another flank that's falling. He's lost his Panther, so he's got a couple of grenadiers and his defenses. So if you shell those bunkers, that's another player gone. And at this point, you're just left with the orange man, Camille. So if he goes down, how does he go down? Well, he's got a couple of Panthers. He's been losing Panzer IVs, and that's obviously not very good. But he's also got the Jag as a kind of potential ace up his sleeve. However, his main strength, I would say, is his infantry that's vetted up. So land mattresses are going to be the way to go against them, because, you know, that rocket artillery barrage can really cause some casualties. And eventually, the Allied infantry is going to have a lot of weapons, a lot of upgrades, a lot of veterancy. So that advantage that the Germans have is going to be harder and harder to maintain. Still, the Germans have this one big advantage, which is obviously the resource income that's bigger. So if Camille can continue putting up pressure to the right side and prevent essentially 2/3 of the allies, because, you know, we have 2 players going down there most of the time, and then 5s every once in a while send support down there as well, such as we can see right now with this Jackson. If, you know, they can keep 2 allied players concentrated on the right side of the map, so, you know, on their side, and trying to stabilize this situation on the river side. And then, you know, with their resource advantage, build up a lot of late game units and try to take back the initiative without, you know, doing retarded things like this one, then the Germans still have a very, very high chance of winning the game. When it comes to the VPs, they're actually ahead, so 363 to 170. That's actually a very big lead. Very, very big lead indeed, and except for a couple of times, the Germans have had the majority of the map control, so they are going to be fighting on essentially home turf most of the time. Rip. Okay, big tank fight. Looks like Panther #1 really overshooting his competence and moving in against too much. Panther #2 not moving in to support. Obviously, the Pack 43 was decrewed, and for some reason, there's no more music because that's just how Company of Heroes 2 works. Every once in a while, the music just stops working. Here comes a fragmentation bombing, which was absolutely devastating. Wipes out Sherman and 2 infantry squads. However, like, the Panther over here is not really doing anything, and in the meantime, the other Panther is fighting for his dear life against the Jackson and the Churchill. They should not be targeting the Churchill, they should be targeting Jackson. For some reason, this is not happening though, and the Panther now is eating Piat fire while sitting on the lake, so obviously this is going to be bad because he might just get sunk. He's incredibly lucky that after so many hits, he's not sunk, but he is going to... He really deserves to die. What the hell is he doing? Okay, so he does die. Panzer IV, too late to assist, and now he comes in, eats a massive amount of damage from AT guns, and the Churchill can actually even try to chase him down, although obviously the Panzer IV is faster. So yeah, this was a very, very nasty fight for the Germans. The Allies lost at least 2 Shermans, although wait, maybe not. Maybe only 1. No, at least 2 Shermans, and a couple of their vehicles have been heavily damaged, and they lost 1 Jackson. But the toll for the Germans was just so much higher. They lost 3 Panthers and maybe a P4 too. So yeah, it was really, really bad. And one of those Panthers was Vet. So yeah, I just don't see the Germans coming back from this. They lost most of their mobile force. They're trying desperately to rebuild their defenses, but we saw how vulnerable these are to just any kind of sustained Allied artillery, and we know that the Allies are going to be merciless in applying that artillery advantage. Man, so many Panthers wasted without infantry support. This was a big, big downfall for the Germans, and I'm just guessing that they're going to lose at this point by the way that they're playing. It's like these people do not know how to win a game, essentially. They do not know what initiative is, and it's gonna come back to bite them because the Allies are now gonna slowly but surely retake territory. And once they do that, eventually the Germans are gonna be losing their resource advantage. And once they do that, you know, they don't have initiative, they don't have resources. What are they gonna do to win? You know, if they're too used to using their Simcity to win, once the Simcity is gone, they're gonna be in a nasty, nasty shock. Oh wow, okay, finally a bit of initiative shown by King Manny. He comes around, flanks, and destroys a priest. Second priest is also in trouble. However, like, the Allies can afford to lose 2 priests for a Panther, I would say. Although, maybe the Panther will not die? No, he will die. Like, okay, that was the only Panther for King Manny. But 5s can just rebuild a couple of priests now, you know? Because priests strong. King Manny at least is trying to do something different. He's also got a couple of Panzerwerfers, which he has not used. That's a relatively bad decision, I would say. Nice grenade, but the flak emplacement. Bloody flak emplacement. Here comes the big Panzerwerfer. Misses. Obviously, Land Mattress is going to take out the back crew and the Raketenwerfer crew, and the flak emplacement dies to the pack howitzer. So yeah, that's what's been happening for most of this game. Pack 43 here gets recrewed and destroys a Jackson. Actually, that was a big mistake by the Allies. Churchill moves in. This is also a big mistake because, you know, the Pack 43 should just be following this guy, but it's not. And this is one of the problems with defenses. Once they get in the defenses, then what are you gonna do? Can you react in time? In the case of the Germans right now, it seems like they cannot. They don't really know what to do. It seems like they're trying to move in troops, but they're really uncoordinated. We have King Manny blowing all of his manpower on Panzerwerfers, which are going to be relatively useless in this push. The captain really needs to destroy these weapons, though, using the bazookas. Why is he not destroying the Pack 43 gun and the Raketenwerfer gun? It's really weird. He comes back and caps the Milo VP, which is fine enough, but there were other units doing that as well. So for some reason, the Allies are going to let the Germans have these weapons. What are they doing? Destroy the thing! Okay, finally. Although, maybe that was because he was trying to shoot at a Panther and not because he was trying to destroy the pack. Oh. Is he trying to reman the pack? That's probably also a bad idea because that's gonna make it a target. And making it a target equals stuff's gonna be fired at it and probably it's going to die. They should have just repaired it instead and then remanned it. But oh well. I guess he survives. Land Mattress is firing on the other pack and the vet-free crew is gonna be dispatched, I would say, from Land Mattress barrage. Yep. On the right side, Camille is still trying to put up pressure with his, frankly, relatively successful strategy of coming in waves every once in a while and trying to draw as much attention to him as possible. And the only times his strategy has really seriously failed has been when he has had to move from the right side to the center. For some reason, he just can't really afford that transition. He can't really perform that smoothly enough, which is, well, obviously relatively bad. Oh my god, those Land Mattresses, they're just apocalypsing all over the center, but the Allies have more infantry, and so despite the artillery barrage, they can always come back with more troops, and it's not like they don't have artillery either. So the German infantry and the Allied infantry both receiving heavy damage, but the Allied infantry has more capacity to take that damage and come back. And the right side, at this point, can kind of just be ignored by the Allies. Like, not entirely, but it can mostly be ignored because Camille is not as strong as he used to be, despite the fact that he's still doing some good work. He just doesn't have the resources he had earlier on with the veteran Panthers, with the veteran Panzer IVs. Now he's only got a single Vet 1 P4, and he's trying to get another Panther. But, I mean, at this point, also his opponent's resources have increased, so it's not like the fact that he still has things means that he can just kind of run wild into the base. So that's a very big point. Like, this area over here, if the Axis push into it, what do they gain? Pretty much nothing. Maybe one strategic point, maybe a bit of a flanking on the center. But again, as I've said, for some reason, these are just not working for Camille. Or they could go into the base, so they don't gain much. While if the Allies concentrate on the center left area, what they gain is an access to the German resource area where the fuel caches are, and the VP in the center. So that gives them 2 VPs against 1. and maybe a bit of a flanking onto the right side. So I would say that strategically what the Allies are doing is a little bit more valuable than what the Germans are doing. And now that the Pershing's back on the field for Verlosen, the Panzer IVs are going to be in a bad spot. Nice Panzerwerfer. But there isn't really any follow-up. In fact, the Allies seem to have pushed back most of the German infantry, and so now they can follow up. And yeah, there goes the veteran Panzer IV. With no infantry support, that was obviously going to happen. And, like, what are the rest of the Germans gonna do? Pretty much nothing, I would say. I don't know, I feel like I'll just fast forward to the end. I don't see any more surprises coming from this game. It just seems like it's gonna be doing the same as it has been doing. Like, Obersoldaten at this point aren't gonna change anything. You know, Manny, he's got a bunch of Panzerwerfers, but they're getting counter-batteried actually by the Flam Mattress, and that's working out quite well. It's working out quite well, destroying 2 of those Panzerwerfers. He's got a Brummbär, but it's like, what can that do when there's Jacksons on the field, and Pershings, and a bunch of Churchills? Churchills have been a bit of a surprise, actually. Wasn't expecting them to do this well, but they've been quite useful for Get the Gist. And Hakuna is still a Simcity fucker.
We are losing a sector.
What's that action going on? Oh, I mean, just some infantry going for some Churchills. Wait, what? The Churchill has hold fire? Why, though? Wait, maybe all vehicles have hold fire now. Well, obviously this is not a regular vehicle. Yeah, all vehicles have hold fire. That's very interesting. I guess more options is better than less options. Pretty much always. Yeah, big German push to try to recap the center, but I mean, they're still trying the same things that they've been trying in the past 25 minutes without changing their tactics or strategy. And so, yeah, I just don't see them having any effect. Like, yeah, sure, the Panzerwerfer is going to do damage. Yeah, sure, the Panthers can survive for a while against what the Allies are bringing. But I don't see the tide of Allied advance slowing down any further. Like, now they have the 2 VPs, and obviously the Allies are down to 90 VPs. So that's relatively scary, but once the Panzerwerfer barrage is over, they can just move infantry back in, and the Panthers can't do anything about it. fact, I'm really surprised that they're not doing it. Yeah, finally, here comes these guys. And yeah, you can't even repair under fire, obviously. There goes another Panther. Nice smoke screen, along with some barrages, but yeah, like, there's just more allied infantry. Although, obviously, this melee is not really helping the allies at all. More land mattress. And finally, it looks like the allies have decided to push in from the left-hand side. So there goes this whole side, and now more allied units can pour in from another direction, yet another direction. Panther going to die from Hakuna. And yeah, the allies have also realized that there's pretty much nothing on the right side at this point, because the pressure from Camille is not coming from the right side anymore. It's coming from the center. He's just trying to headbutt into the allied base, or, you know, into the center and then the allied base, but not working. And so now they can cap this side to stem the bleeding as well as the center. And yeah, with the VP advantage gone, the Germans truly have the last advantage that they had. It's gone. And another Schwerpanzer quarters goes down. So yeah, I would say overall, very good job from the Allies in using artillery to their advantage, and very terrible job from the Germans to really not realize what was working for them, and doing more of that, and what was not working for them and changing it. Instead, they just kind of tunnel visioned on only a single aspect of what they were doing, you know, not the supporting the infantry that was mobile and was doing quite well with support weapons, team weapons, and artillery. Instead, they just thought that, oh no, it's only because of the emplacements that we're doing well. I guess, at least, because otherwise it doesn't explain why they just built like so many bunkers and so many flak emplacements. When they were aggressively advancing just a few minutes before, and they were putting the Allies on the ropes, they just kind of let them recover. You know, we had Camille kind of still trying to put up pressure on the right side, but one player eventually wasn't enough, and even he had his own issues. Then when they got tanks, thanks to the resource superiority that they got in the early game, they secured back then when they were doing well, they wasted it. And so in the end, it's, to be honest, no real surprise that the Germans are probably going to lose this. Pretty much inevitably. Yeah, look at that. These allies are just pushing in quite easily at this point. Artillery from the Brits, Pershings from the Americans, obviously Jackson, artillery from everyone, and yeah, Panther dead. Moving into the last bastions of German defense. This Schwerpanzer quarters is starting to eat artillery fire, and you know, now the right side is reclaimed, but the center's captured, and so the VP situation is still not in favor of the Germans, which they would need, but can't have. And there we go, another Pak 43, because why the hell not? Like when you're getting pushed back to the base, would you build a Pak 43? It's like, but it doesn't cost fuel. But he's got 700 fuel. Like Hakuna is literally floating 700 fuel. I don't know, man. Are the Germans not surrendered? Okay, good. They finally surrendered. Very good. So ends this hour-long match. So yeah, I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon with some more Company Affairs 2.